Apache Junction Library Board to order at 6:30, June 24th. Please call roll.
Judy Borey, not currently here. Samuel Graves.
Here.
Pam Krause.
Here.
Vivian Reisky.
Here.
Vera Walters.
Here.
Lori Wine is absent tonight. Pam Harrison.
Here.
And I am here. Nancy Brown. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to look at the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Can I get a motion to accept the agenda?
I motion to accept the agenda.
I second.
We've had a motion and a second. Can we have a vote?
Judy Borey. Samuel Graves.
Yes.
Pam Krause.
Yes.
Vivian Reisky.
Yes.
Vera Walters.
Yes.
And Lori Wine's not here. Motion passes.
Thank you. Librarians report.
Yes, I have a few things for the librarian's report tonight. This first piece of information is just showing you that the library is getting busier as it's pulling up on the page.
Wow.
So this is a comparison. I don't know why I can't get rid of this up here. Auto hide ribbon. There we go. This is a daily average patron visit comparison from April through June. This is through June 12th, or 21st, I mean. So the first the red bar is for April. As you can see, we're very close to 500 visits per day. In May, we went down to 445, and this is normal for the library during that time because of winter visitors returning back to their home states. And in June, you can see we're increasing upwards of 500 visits a day. Our summer reading program's going very well so far. I'm going to give you stats on that in a minute. So we're really happy to see that there's been an increase of about 75 people per day in the library. Does anybody have any questions about that?
Great.
Yep. All right.
I've noticed a lot of young people in the libraries here lately.
Yes. Like how young?
Yeah, I was going to ask
Young,
the same.
Like young.
Like itty bitties.
Let's go to the SRP numbers. I don't have a slide for that. But looking over the past 2 years when we've been doing the summer reading program, we offered the summer reading program to kids, teens, and adults over the past 3 years. Back in 2019, we had 1,036 children register for the program. This year, we are at approximately 550 children. So, and we still have a few weeks left. So I think we're doing a really good job this year in getting our numbers back up for the program and getting kids reading over the summer. Last year, we were at 316. And this is an online program. You don't actually have to come into the library to do it. We have a link to the summer reading website on our Apache Junction Public Library website. Parents can just go there, create accounts for their kids. They can read anything. They can listen to books and it counts as reading. They log their minutes. The only thing they would have to come to the library for is to collect their prizes. Mm-hmm. And this year we're doing a beading program for the older elementary school kids. So in the beginning they get to choose whether they want a keychain or a necklace. And then as they read, they earn different types of beads for their necklace or keychain. So there's metallic beads, ultraviolet, glow-in-the-dark beads, all animals, all sorts of different fun things. And the preschoolers, they get their normal rubber duckies. The preschoolers love the rubber ducks every year. Beach ball. Bahama Bucks has once again sponsored the program, and they're giving a free Bahama Bucks slushy, I guess it's called, to most of the kids when they reach, I believe it's 300 minutes of reading. So we got lots of fun prizes, so we hope more people are going to join in on that. For the teens, we are at half of what we were in 2019, and we are double what we were at in 2020, so we're at 104 currently. And the adult program is the big surprise for us. In 2019, we had 53 registrants. In 2020, during COVID, we actually went up to 89, which was surprising. And this year, we have surpassed 400 adult registrants for the program. One of the reasons for this is that we're now giving adults the option to either do a paper summer reading program where they have like a bingo board, and when they do different types of reading, like read a mystery, read a science fiction, they get to cross off a box on the bingo board and then return it to the service desk. They can do that way, or they can do it online with the kids on the same program that I was speaking of before. So I know a lot of the parents last year that had kids in the program, they wanted their own online program. So now that we're offering it that way, we see a lot more participants. And those adults that hand in their forms or complete the program, they'll get put into a raffle for $10 gift cards for Fry's Food Store. So we'll have lots of winners. And the last thing, I have two more things to speak of. One is the mobile library. Because it's getting hot, we've slowed down a lot in terms of how much we're going out. Even though we have air conditioning on it, it takes a long time for it to build up the coolness. And there's not many outdoor events right now for us to attend. However, we have began a partnership with the First Baptist Church that's on Thunderbird Drive in Apache Junction. On every Wednesday, they do a community resource center event. From 9 to noon, anybody, no ID required, can go in and help themselves to food bank items. They have everything from meat, dairy products, canned goods, clothes, fresh bread, and you can go there and take as much as you want. And we're going to be going to their next event next Wednesday and having a table there for the library. They have their food bank inside the parish, so we will be nice and cool inside. So they do probably about 30 to 50 people coming to them every week. So we're excited to have some place new to meet more people and hopefully sign up people for library cards. And the last piece of good news is I told you back in April that we had applied for the Story Walk at Prospector Park grant through the State Library. And we found out on May 3rd that we were awarded our grant, and it's in the amount of $8,089. And what that's going to pay for is for us to install 18 aluminum posts and flush-mounted aluminum frames that will hold the pages of the books at Prospector Park. They will have acrylic over them to protect them from damage. We have a large laminator that we'll be able to purchase so we can laminate the pages before they go inside the frames. The Parks and Rec Department is going to be the ones actually installing that, and that is going to take place, we hope, in the beginning or mid-October. So we'll have a ribbon cutting celebration at that time. So I just wanted to show you a couple pictures of what a story walk looks like in case you aren't familiar. So this is obviously not in Arizona, as there is ice and winter hats. But our frames will be a little bit different than what's shown on the screen. Ours are going to be what they call a flush frame, which means they will be straight up and down rather than at an angle, a slight angle. And that is good because it protects the frame a little bit more from the weather. Because after a while, that acrylic's going to start to get worn from the sun. And if you live in a climate like this, boy, it probably gets lots of rain, and it can eventually possibly damage the inside contents. And here is another view. So there'll be 18 of these in a location of the park that we're still determining. And we just think it's going to be a great way for families to get out, do something active, do something in the outdoors, read a story. Some of the stories may have some interactive components where they can do different exercises or different stunts between the frames of the book. So we're really looking forward to getting that out there and partnering with the Parks and Rec Department. where we'll have a QR code, which is called, which is short for a quick response code. It's something that you've seen them at the restaurants when they don't provide you with a paper menu. It's where you take your phone and take a picture of that black and white code, and it brings you to, in the restaurant's a menu, but for the story walk, it'll bring you to a survey that we can have people fill out to let them know how their experience was. And then that'll also entitle them to come to the library to either get a free book or possibly a free pass to the MGC. So we're really looking forward to bringing people from the parks to the library and also bringing people that enjoy books and library to the park.
Who will determine what will be on the story walk boards?
The stories that will be, it'll probably be our youth department. We have a youth supervisor and assistant, and myself. I used to be the youth services supervisor. We'll probably make the decision together, but we do have some guidelines in terms of what works best in a story walk environment. The pictures should be quite big, so they're easy to see, even with the sun. And they should also contain lighter colors, like pastels. If you use books that have really bright red and blues, they tend to fade quite quickly. And we have a list already generated of some titles that have been recommended to us from other story walk libraries. So we'll start investigating them soon. The grant doesn't begin till July 1st, so we haven't purchased any of the products yet, but we'll be getting our hands dirty in that pretty soon.
So will they be desert-oriented or?
Occasionally, we'd like to do a diverse collection of materials, something to educate and inspire all kids. So we'll probably do, I'm sure, a desert one at some point, but we'll probably also try to do some other cultures, some other, we might even do nonfiction. Who knows? So we'll see what we come up with. That's the fun part. If you have any suggestions, let me know, because I know you're an avid reader. I'm not sure about picture books, but I know you're an avid reader of adult material.
Okay.
I have two
Vivian
questions.
has already suggested one as well, one that was from when we did the,
The FFN program?
yes, the Week of the Young Child. And every grantee for First Things First did a different activity, and we read that one book, I can't remember the title now, was like Alpacas with Maracas.
Yes.
I think it was it. Yeah. So that could be a contender, but I think that one might have some pretty dark colors in it, so we'll have to see how it would work. Pam, did I hear you chime in?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Yes.
Do we know which park officially this is going to be at? Is it Prospector? Is it the one over by the pool? Do we know where it's going to be placed at yet?
It is at Prospector. We have some ideas of where to put it in Prospector, but the Parks and Rec Department, we're going to walk through it again with them and make a final decision once it's not so hot outside. And I
then
know,
sorry, go ahead.
no, and I know at a previous meeting, Pam, you mentioned local authors, seeing if there's some local authors that we could showcase in the story walks. So that's also an idea that I still want to pursue as well.
And then, like, for the holidays and stuff, are we going to rotate it so that way it fits around the holidays and everything, too? Or how often are we going to change this out?
We're going to change it a minimum of quarterly, depending on supplies and depending on staffing. We'll see if we're going to do some different things, like especially between September and December, since there's a couple different holidays there that are normally bigger holidays for kids to celebrate. So we could do a couple extra ones during that time. We want to leave it up long enough, though, so that people have a chance to get down there and experience it. So they normally say 3 to 4 months is pretty normal.
Are these going to be big enough to have two on them? That you can have a book for the adults on top and, like, a kid's book on bottom, or you can only fit one type of book in at a time?
Yeah, these ones are designed for picture books, so you can only fit, the displays, the frames that we're buying, they can only fit 2 pages of a picture book side by side inside of them. So it will only have enough for a 32-page picture book, and then like a beginning, welcome to the story walk frame, and then an ending. Did you have any other questions?
Not yet. Give me a minute. No, I'm fine.
Okay. Okay, and I believe that is all I have tonight for the librarian's report.
Thank you. Okay, agenda items. Has everyone had a chance to look at the annual report?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Any discussion on?
well done.
Amen.
Oh, it's down in the folder.
Here?
Nope, the other way. Oh, there you go.
What's the best way to view this?
You can do full screen mode if you want to go down further.
So this is the cover of the annual report. Did everybody say they had a chance to examine it?
Yes.
I can scroll through it if you'd like, if you have any questions, or if you don't, we don't have to do that, so let me know what your preference is.
I thought it was very well done.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Agreed. The layout was really nice.
I give full credit to Sansi for the layout.
Well, it was a team effort, right?
Yeah, it was a team effort, but
Do you make it fun like this because you post it on the website for patrons to see? Or is it for our benefit?
well, I liked this theme because of the connecting part, so we tried to do something fun where we showed different ways to connect, and games is just, Connect 4 and puzzles and dominoes. That's just the ideas that we came up with, so it just turned out to be fun, but also I wanted something light because it was kind of a not light year. I wanted to keep it simple and fresh but informative, so. Well, if there's not any questions, this
I got
will-
one question, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was looking on here. Nothing is mentioned about the passes. Or did I miss it somewhere?
Taxes, like the tax preparation?
No, the passes.
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 Passes. P-A-S-S.
Time for culture pass.
And what's your question about the culture passes, that you didn't see them in the report?
No, are they on here? Did I miss that or?
No, they're not on the report. The Culture Pass program was not really active during COVID. They actually shut everything down, so we didn't include them in the report this year.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions?
We need to vote to accept that.
I believe you do.
That's what I thought. Do I hear a motion to accept the annual report?
I move we accept the annual report.
I second.
Second. Call for a vote?
Escape. Judy Bory, absent. Samuel Graves,
Yes.
Pam Kraus,
Yes.
Vivian Reisky,
Yes.
Vera Walters,
Yes,
Lori Wine is absent. Motion passes.
Escape isn't working for me. Excuse us just one moment while we try to change our screens.
Okay, the annual report passes.
If you hover
Thank you.
it right at the middle of the top, usually like a little X will pop up in the middle of the screen. Yeah, usually it comes up like right there, but it did not.
Yeah, I think they have it. Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
Well, that's interesting.
Okay, then we need to have a discussion and possible vote on eliminating proof of age, 18, and parental permission for circulation of audiovisual materials labeled R-rated and mature.
Why would we get rid of that?
Did you have a time to read the memo that I sent in the first email from last week?
No, I did not read that one. I must have missed it.
Okay. I wanted to bring it up on the screen, but since we can't figure out how to get out of this mode. So last week I sent a memo that included the Library Bill of Rights, which is, in essence, the Bible of what librarianship is about. And it includes intellectual freedom rights, rights for all people. But the part that we were examining was Article 5 of Library Bill of Rights, which talks about including, ensuring that all members of the community have free and equitable access to library resources and services, regardless of content, approach, or format, and that age should not be used to restrict access to any materials. The reason for this is that American Library Association, they don't approve of restricting anything for anybody based on many other things, but tonight we're talking about age. When you're in a school library, it can be different. I worked in school libraries for 15 to 20 years, and in a school library environment, it's more acceptable, but in some cases, not acceptable, but it's more lenient because you are taking care of people's kids during the day, and you can be, how do I know how to say it? You can be more of a librarian that's going to pick out things and listen to parents and act in terms of their parent figure during that time. But public libraries, we don't know most of the people that come into the public library, and what we've been doing over the past 30 some odd years is enforcing a procedure where we are restricting our DVDs that are rated R, or TV series and video games that are rated, they don't have a rating, but they're considered to be TVM or TVMA, which means for mature audiences. So currently that means that on a lot of our DVDs that are rated R, there is a sticker on them that says, this DVD requires proof of age 18. About 5 years ago, we did change that a bit to let parents be able to accompany their child to the service desk and check out these materials on a child card with verbal parent permission. But what the Library Bill of Rights and librarianship talks about is eliminating all of those restrictions, because we as public librarians, we can't act in what they call in loco parentis. We should not be determining what is appropriate for people's children. Only parents and guardians of those children should make those decisions. What they advise is that parents and guardians who do not want their children to have access to specific library materials, services, or facilities should advise their own children of such. Libraries and library governing boards should not use rating systems to inhibit a minor's access to materials. I contacted many libraries to see what their policies were. There is not a single library system in Maricopa County that restricts access to their content, either print or non-print. But what I'm talking about is non-print, meaning your DVDs and your video games. In Pinal County, I contacted the largest of the libraries in our county, which would be Florence, City of Maricopa, and Casa Grande. And I'd like to read to you what they wrote back. Florence Community Library does not restrict minors for art materials. Our policy states, quote, "The library does not determine what children should read, view, or borrow. We do not act in loco parentis, but provide materials, programming, and a physical environment that supports a parent's and child's search for diverse materials." The City of Maricopa said, "We do not restrict minors from checking out rated R material. We feel that isn't our responsibility, that is a parent guardian's responsibility." Casa Grande replied that their city attorney's recommendation was to give all library cards full access to all library resources. Whereas school libraries may act in loco parentis, public libraries do not. We will always defer to a parent guardian to make decisions regarding what a minor child checks out. Once you establish that library staff can restrict content, it is very difficult to make those standards always equally applied. You open your library up for a challenge if a restricted DVD happens to make it onto a child's card because of a staff error or cataloging error. It's important to keep the responsibility on the parent to communicate their expectations to their child and monitor their library use. And lastly, I contacted our own Apache Junction city attorney, and he agreed that it is up to parents and it's not a government function. So in the memorandum that I sent to you guys, I gave you a couple interpretations of the Library Bill of Rights, which included a lot of the same language as these other libraries have told us how they run their own libraries. And I'm hoping that we can also do the same and act in a way that the American Library Association would expect a library that is serving the public to act. We currently have stickers on our rated R material, like I said, that says this DVD requires proof of age 18. There is probably hundreds of them. I wouldn't attempt to even try to take those off. But what I'm proposing is that in the future, we don't put those stickers on and we don't restrict them in the catalog, and that we leave it up to the parents to be responsible for what their kids are doing in the library and what they're checking out. The TV series and the video games have a sticker on them that says mature content. I would be willing to compromise on that one and to actually continue putting those on those materials, so that if a parent isn't being aware of what their child's checking out, if they did see it at home, they would at least then be aware that that is maybe something that they need to investigate. It would give them a heads up.
With the print stuff, do we restrict minors from doing, like,
We do
checking
not.
out inappropriate books?
We do not.
Then, yeah, I don't think that it should be done with video games and TV shows and stuff either. I just think you're opening the door for a lot of very angry parents, though. Because I know most of, even my, like the people that I know that go to the library, they just drop their kids off and walk to the other side of the library. So I think, especially during the beginning stages of this, is that you're going to have a lot of grumpy people contacting you.
That is possible. Yeah, and it's something that I'm prepared for.
But why not, like you said, you'll make an exception for those that still put the stickers on some? Why not all, but not restrict them from checking them out?
That's what I'm proposing. We could put the mature audience stickers on them, but not the ones that say you must be 18 to
Okay.
check out this
Okay.
DVD.
But you'll still have it identified as a mature
Yeah.
audience, so the parents know.
Because the American Library Association does say that although they do not approve of libraries endorsing or advocating the use of rating systems, including the Motion Picture Association rating systems of PG, PG-13, and R and G, if libraries include information about rating systems on items, this information should not be used to restrict access. So they say if you do include it, that's fine, but just don't restrict it from circulation.
It's just merely information.
Correct, yes. So it is a First Amendment right for children because they do possess First Amendment rights as children. We're in a big world now. Everybody wants their rights, including young children.
I would like to formally request that the Library Bill of Rights be included in our Board of Trustees packet.
And I apologize, because I thought we did include that, but when I did look for it a couple weeks back, I realized that it wasn't in there. I will make sure that the next meeting that we bring copies of that, and we will have them available for you to put into your binders.
Great, because that was very interesting.
It is very interesting, and it dates way back, so it's
And it
not
gives us
something they just came up
guidelines.
with.
Yeah,
I noticed they didn't question the rankings. They merely said that you shouldn't be able to make a ranking for someone else. They
Exactly,
should be able to make their own choice.
exactly.
They
'Cause
never questioned whether they were right or wrong.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody else have any other comments or questions about what, the recommendation to eliminate these restrictions?
How's that going to work on those machines that are automated?
So currently, the DVDs that are restricted, they have a special cataloging code applied to them that restricts them based on the patron code of the library card. So we have library cards that are for juveniles, which are age 0 to 13, or excuse me, 0 to 12. We have teen cards, which are for ages up to 16. And then we have, up to 17. And then we have adult cards that are 18 and over. So currently, only the adult cards will work on the self-checkout with the rated R or mature content DVD or video game. So what we would do is just take off that restriction, and that's a very easy thing that can be done in our cataloging system.
Is there any way that if a parent wants to put restriction on it, they have authorization to sign off on the card saying that they're restricted, or no? Is that asking for too much?
I don't believe so, because then we're getting back into the library being part of acting as parent and for the parent. And the purpose of all of this is to really take the library's, what's the word I want to use? Is to take the library out of it so that there isn't the possibility that a staff person could make an error. They didn't read the note that's in their card that says, don't check out. That's a lot of work for staff people to do and to monitor. So we really want to get away from us having a possible legal challenge. And that's the only way to truly do that, is to get rid of the restrictions and to go forward with what the Library Bill of Rights intends public libraries to do, which is provide equal access to all.
Are you going to be notifying parents of the people who have library cards of you guys basically removing your liability from the situation? Like, that there won't be any restrictions? That way parents who have library cards currently for their kids aren't suddenly woken up one day.
Yeah, that would be really hard to do.
Are you going to post it on Facebook or the library's website that you're removing the restriction?
We could do something. I would have to think it through. Is there something that you're recommending that we do? I'd rather not make it into something where it's going to cause a possible controversy and become a social media event of people who believe one way and people who believe the other.
Well, I think that if you were to do something, that obviously talking to the attorney would probably be best, but quoting the actual Library Bill of Rights would. Because even with schools stopping the free food for all AJ residents, it went just to the kids that were enrolled in that school. They still posted a notification of that regardless of how many people they were going to upset with it. Okay. And I think that if you were to post, even on the Facebook, that you're removing that restriction, that any parent who wasn't paying attention and they woke up to something highly inappropriate being on their TV would basically have nobody to blame but themselves from not paying attention.
Right.
I think that you'd probably get more gruff if you didn't notify the public that you were making the change than you would if you notified them.
That, yeah, that has been something that's been brought up and something that we've thought about.
That's a
I would
tough-
definitely want to consult with city management before I took any type of action on that, but that is certainly something I can do and ask them how they would prefer for that to be approached.
You would hope that the parents already have that responsibility, and this isn't going to affect them at all.
As a teacher, I can tell you that most parents don't pay that
Right.
big of attention.
I see your point, but I see your point about making this a big issue, which you don't need.
Correct, yeah.
Because
It's
it's
definitely, you want to do what's right for the community and the library and the kids. And
Well-
it's hard to do all three of those at the same time without,
If you discontinued the hotspots or the mobile library, wouldn't you notify the public of those changes? Or would you just stop them?
oh, well, I guess it depends. I guess it depends.
That's a delicate situation.
It is, it's a very delicate situation. I totally understand where you're coming from, Vivian, and, as a mother, I can understand exactly where you're coming from. And as a teacher, and I know Sam was a teacher too, we're people that care about kids and we want to protect them as much as we can. And I understand you're wanting to give some sort of notice to the parents that, this is changing and there's a possibility that if you don't talk to your kids, this is what could happen.
Yeah, because there's going to be that kid whose parents have no idea that, like, is it that the parents are gonna stomp down and to the library and, cause an issue, but it's one of those, it's technically, from an educator standpoint, it's a liability without you. Like, if we were to remove our firewall from the school's computer system, we would have to notify the parents, because then they would be liable to whatever damages were done, like if a kid were to download a virus, or if they were to go onto an inappropriate website and show their friends, that's a liability
Exactly,
that then
yeah,
falls
yeah.
on the parent. But if we never notified them,
That was happening,
it would
correct,
still be on the school.
right.
So obviously, I get that it's a delicate situation, because there are going to be those parents that are going to be very upset that they don't even have the option of, like, parental checking via an electronic system, but I am fully in agreement of getting rid of it. I just think that parents should be aware of it. That way,
Okay.
when they go to the library, they'll perhaps pay a little bit more attention to what
Right,
kids are
and
grabbing.
to have access to their children's accounts, so they could check them periodically if they're letting their kids go in alone with their own library card. Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. Would you find it acceptable for me to talk to city management first about
definitely.
how they would think best to approach this?
Oh, yeah, because I'm a rip a Band-Aid off kind of person, but I understand that that's not how a lot of the public likes it. So obviously talk to people who are better people than me.
I appreciate that, thank you. Any other comments or concerns? Pam, did you have anything else? Pam Kraus?
What was that last? Sorry, I missed that. What was that?
Oh, I just asked if you had any other comments or questions before Sam proceeds with the agenda item.
Not at this time.
All right.
Okay. I have a motion on the audiovisual and materials R-rated and mature.
I submit the motion to eliminate the proof of age for audiovisual materials.
I second that motion.
A motion's been made and seconded to eliminate the proof of age. Can we have a vote?
Judy Bory, absent. Samuel Graves,
Yes.
Pam Kraus,
Yes.
Vivian Reisky,
Yes.
Vera Walters,
Yes.
and Lori Wine is also absent. Motion passes.
Okay, the motion passes. Any other business to come before the committee? Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn this meeting.
Do I hear a second?
I second.
Meeting adjourned
Go watch your
at
basketball game.
7.